Yo guys, what's going on? It's Ace here today with another video, and today's video is going to be a good one, a long overdue one here on Ace's Gaming, but it's going to be a video about the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare. There's going to be a ton of gameplay in the background, super long video, strap yourself in, we're going to be checking it out. We're going to be using Courage's gameplay in this video, so shout out to Courage. Links will be in the description. You want to check out his stream, his YouTube, all that good stuff, going to be in the description. And one more thing before we get started, guys, new membership options available on the channel. Just click that little join button right next to the subscription button. You can check out all the emotes I got. There's a loyalty badge. There's perks for each tier. If you guys are interested in supporting me, that one extra step, I'd appreciate it so much. Just thought I'd let you know it's there since it's brand new. We're going to be talking about pros and cons in this game. And guys, I'm going to try and put gameplay of each point behind like what I'm saying. So like I said, a lot of editing in this one, but I want to get everything together the best I can. So the first con I have on my list is this is a 3-game baby, and that's a term that I came up with. If you put Modern Warfare Remastered together with Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 1, and then put that with Siege, Rainbow Six, if you guys aren't familiar, you get this 3-game baby. And what I mean by that is you kind of have the realism of the Battlefields in the Rainbow Six. The Rainbow Six aspect being that more realistic, shots killing in, 2 bullets, and you're getting that with the gunfight mode, you even have the 1Ds, kind of a little bit of Counter-Strike in there too, but, honestly, the one-shot headshots are insane time to kill. I mean, it's just a 3-game baby. That's what I've been calling it. All 3 of these games combined really made it feel like that's what games came together to make this game. Obviously, there's this new engine, which we'll talk about a little bit more in the video, but it just didn't feel Call of Duty to me, so that is my first con. The next con is going to be clunky running. Now, if you watch TP stream, the clunky running really felt like it was due to how slow the game was. Your weapon is really bobbing, especially with sniper rifles. I can try and get some of that in the background just to show you this running. Honestly, I'm not a fan of all the super new motions and running and movement. It just didn't feel right to me. Obviously, there is a ton of motion blur, which you might get sick of by the end of this video if you stick around through it. But there's a ton of motion blur. You can turn that off. The devs did talk about it. You can turn that off once the game comes out. So that is a big win there. Definitely going to have to turn that off, especially me who plays on at high sensitivity. I'm going to have to turn motion blur off. But that clunky running, is the game actually clunky? And that is something that everybody's been talking about. Is it slow? Is it clunky? Is it nasty? Well, yes and no. If your playstyle is slow, then it's going to be slow. If it's fast, then it might feel a little bit better. Obviously, you're going to have to play slower with some of the stuff. But, it's really up for debate. Obviously, we just saw like a pre-build of the game. It's not the full entire game, so things obviously can change. But right now, I would say there's definitely a slow aspect to the game. It's not even close to as fast as Black Ops 4, and that's actually really unfortunate because I think Black Ops 4 is actually a perfect game for competitive besides maybe some of the maps. I feel like it is really balanced besides like Control. S&D feels great in Black Ops 4. And, I just have no complaints, really, with Black Ops 4. So we're having a huge change from the game we're playing now, and it'll be really interesting to see how it turns out. So the next thing in the gameplay you're going to be seeing, you're seeing the game mode Gunfight, which is a 2v2, health matters. So in this game mode, there's actually no healing. There's only one type of healing in this game mode, and it's a stim shot, just like Black Ops 4, which is a manual heal, and you only get 2 of them. So there's no healing in Gunfight, but getting into the next point or next con is healing is regen. Now that's going to be a big pro for a lot of people. For me personally, I think the manual healing and the stim shot in Black Ops 4 is actually one of the best changes to the healing system that I've ever personally played. I don't think there's really any other games that I've played too much where I've had a personal manual heal like that is so quick and so just at your fingertips to heal whenever you want. I really feel like it's not even something I worry about. It's just something instinctive. And when I got on Modern Warfare Remastered to kind of practice for this game a little bit, it just didn't feel right. I really liked healing on my own, and there's a lot of people that do like it, and there's a lot of people that hate it. So, me personally, that is a big con. For you, it might be a pro. It's just opinionated, but I'm really not a fan that regen healing is coming back. Guys, this one is huge, and a lot of people are really scared about this one, and it is the recoil. Guys, they're trying to make this game a lot more realistic, and obviously with this new engine that's become possible. Well, also, the recoil is going to be a big problem. This game is going to be a lot harder for people that are just not good at the game, specifically noobs. Everybody's going to be a noob at first. Obviously, people with the Call of Duty experience and Battlefield experience and Rainbow experience, they're going to have a little bit of an edge, but they're not going to do that great at first. And it's going to be a huge learning curve for everybody to figure out this recoil. And honestly, it's going to be a huge disadvantage for the casual Call of Duty player, mainly because there's going to be recoil patterns to these guns, and a lot of the pros and amateurs, we're going to know these recoil patterns, and nobody else isn't. So pubs are going to be kind of dominant when, you know, someone's going around the map with an AUG just shredding everybody. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this is kind of worked out, because there's going to be a lot of people complaining about the recoil. You got to remember, everybody that's going to learn the recoil patterns is in like the top 10%. You know, especially the top 2% where, you know, everybody's like a master rank in league play. Everybody there is going to know it. Everybody's going to be good to go, and it's going to be an absolutely fun game for them. But you got to think about, you know, let's say the 30% under that, or the top 70%. You got to think about them, the casual players that, you know, aren't going to learn this recoil. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this recoil really plays out for the devs and what kind of backlash they're going to get from this. It's going to be more of a realistic game, yeah, but, you know, is it going to be like Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3? There's not going to be an ACR where I can just shred, put a suppressor on it, and drop a nuke in, you know, every other game. It's just, it's not the same pub stomping feeling, and it's definitely going to be a big change. So the next con I have is a personal con, and it is going to be the shipment container map. I don't know the exact name of it, but it's in like a desert, and there's a bunch of shipping containers on it. I personally did not like the map, and that is just straight up. I did not like the map, how it looked, how it played. Any part of it I did not like, and that's just me personally. However, the other two maps that were showcased, I love them. So I'm not just hating on the maps for, you know, to hate on them. I just didn't like this one. I'll show, there's going to be a little bit of gameplay in the background at some point or another in the video. But the next con, moving on to, is the snipers. The snipers are interesting. So the snipers have a really interesting kill like ratio. I seen Courage, I think it was, shoot a guy in basically the crotch and it one shot killed him, which is very interesting. Usually, you know, you got like the chest, shoulders, neck, head, done. But anything below the waist is never going to be a one-shot kill, and we saw a one-shot kill there. So it's going to be very interesting to see if snipers are one-shot kill everywhere. If I shoot a guy in the foot with a sniper rifle and it kills him, I'm not a fan of that. That's just me personally. But one big con, and the bigger con out of the sniper rifles, is actually the scope. The just aim of the scope when you scope in is so slow. There's going to be absolutely like no quick scoping, no black scoping. There's not going to be any of that. And the zoom is very interesting. It's a lot more zoomed in than you would expect, and I believe it's already confirmed by the developers that there's no variable zoom or optical zoom or anything like that. So the zoom that you get is the zoom you get, and it's very scary, especially on the gunfight maps. It is just so zoomed in. It needs toned back just a touch. I don't know if it's like a 6 times and 8 times, but it doesn't have to be 4 times, but they need to make it like 5 or 6, like maybe it's 6, because it looked like kind of like an 8 times zoom or even a 10 times. It looked ridiculous, man. I'll show you guys some gameplay in the background of that. I'll definitely be able to find some of that. But just looked insane. I wasn't a big fan of it. So we're just going to move on to the next con that I have, and that is shotgun damage. There was a lot of points in this live stream that I saw people using shotguns. There is the, what are people calling the Olympia? I think it's just 3 numbers, though. It is the combat shotgun, and it just looks really underpowered. And I think it was Courage as well at one point in his stream that he ran up on someone and basically shot a full shotgun blast right into his chest, didn't die, and he had to finish him with the second shot. You know, and then we're going to take a look at the other shotgun, which was like a pump shotgun, and there was one point that one guy got mapped across the map, and then there was another point that was a little bit closer range, and the shotgun didn't even kill him one shot. So the shotgun damage seems really, really inconsistent. I'm talking like don't even think game shotgun inconsistent. That's a brand new BR if you guys are not familiar. But the shotgun damage just looks really inconsistent in Modern Warfare right now. So obviously it's going to need a little bit of tuning. But, you know, that's something easily fixable. Next thing is game mode specific for gunfight. There's no minimap. Honestly, you need a mini-map in any game you're playing. There's going to be some sort of map system. If there's not, you're basically just ruining your game completely. That's just everybody's opinion. I mean, that's just straight up. I mean, people who like hardcore, I guess it's cool with them, but there was no mini-map, and If there's no mini-map for competitive, there's going to be no competitive, and that's just kind of facts. So no mini-map is definitely a problem, but I think we will have it in all the other game modes. So the next one is the GUI, man. The GUI is a little odd. I wasn't really feeling it in the gameplay we were shown, and it's probably not going to change, but the GUI just didn't feel right. It just looked weird. It just, the scoring system and all this stuff, I can put a couple like red arrows on the screen maybe if I can do that, to like what I'm talking about GUI wise. I just didn't like it. It just looked just odd. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel like Modern Warfare. It just kind of felt like new and old and just not right to me. Like I said, personal preference kind of thing, just me personally. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. The next thing is going to be specifically for the Pine map, and it is going to be the shadows. Now, take this one with a grain of salt because all of the streamers were streaming in 900p, I believe. It's just a little bit better quality for Twitch. Like, it's easier to stream, I believe. But we didn't get to see the game in 1080p yet, or even above that. We didn't get to see that at all. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the shadowing looks when the game's a little bit higher res for us. Obviously, we'll be seeing some stuff on August 1st. It's right around the corner, about 2 weeks out. So, you know, it's really tough to tell yet, but I'm going to I can try and, you know, put some red circles or red arrows about some of the shadowing. There's way too much of it on the map Pine. I mean, there's shadows literally everywhere. There's light spots, there's dark spots, there's, you know, nice graphics here, weird graphics here. It's too dark right here, it's too bright right here. It didn't look good to me. I hated it. I absolutely hated the shadowing. I love the map Pine. I think it looks great, but at the same time, the shadows just looked awful. So if there's somewhere in your visual settings that you can reduce shadows, turn shadows off, I might have to do that. Only for Pine, though. You know, some of the other maps didn't look as bad, in my opinion. So, like I said, one thing that kind of was with the clunky running is the game looks slow. I was wondering if we were seeing this game in 60 FPS or not, because it really did look that slow and clunky at some times that I wasn't even sure if we were watching a 60 FPS game or not. I'm sure it's not going to be 30 FPS. If it is, it's going to be catastrophic for the game. But I'm assuming we're going to be in 60, and that's going to be across PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and whatever the new Xbox system is coming out, Scorpio or whatever they changed the name to. I don't really keep up with Xbox, I'm sorry. But, guys, FPS might be an issue. I mean, the frames are just... They're definitely a concern. I couldn't even tell in the stream, so hopefully it's 60. Just a little concern I wanted to bring up. And my final con that I have on this list, I'm sure I missed a lot of things, but one last con is I do not see a long lifetime in this game. One thing that a lot of people didn't like about Ghost or I think AW were those games, everybody just wanted them to end. They hated it. World War II is pretty similar. You know, you get about 8 months into the game and you just feel suicidal. I mean, that's just straight up being harsh about it, but the game just sucks. And I don't see this game lasting that whole year, even close to it. I don't see it lasting 6 months unless we see a nice amount of content. Black Ops 4 did content really well this year. However, the game felt incomplete to start out for the first 8 months. But now we're 8 months deep and the game feels complete and it feels great and I've been playing it every single day. If we can get a complete game on the start, on launch, and then content afterwards, maybe. But right now, I just don't see that long lifetime, and it's going to just be another Call of Duty Ghost. Me personally, I love Ghost, but a lot of the community hated it and just wanted it to end, so that's why I'm using that personal example. But, you know, I just don't see people playing this one. I think they're going to bomb it. I really do. I think they're not going to get it right with the new Modern Warfare. Obviously, this is going to be the make or break of Call of Duty, so we'll see what happens, man. But guys, we are 13, almost 14 minutes deep into this video. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it as much as I am, man. I love making content for you guys. So if you guys could do me a favor and hit that like button, man. We're going to get into some pros. I wanted to remind you guys because this one is going to take me a while. So I really appreciate it if you haven't done so already. But let's get right into the pros, man. And the first one, the pro that I love the most is the 2 modes of sprinting. There is like a brace sprinting and there is that full-on gung-ho sprinting. One sprinting, you put your gun straight up in the air, and I don't know if Jack did this too much in his stream. TP did it a lot, where you are full-on sprinting, like you're moving, and it's great, but your gun is not ready, so you have to stop sprinting and aim, and it takes a little bit of time. You can do a regular sprint, or just kind of a run, we could call it, and, well, you move slower, obviously, but your gun's ready. So having that 2 modes of sprinting, one where you need to haul ass across the map, and you need to get somewhere fast, it's going to be great to have that, like, super sprint. But if you know you just need to sprint around a corner and get ready for a gunfight, you have that open you as well. It's absolutely amazing that they have 2 sprinting options. I mean, that's probably like the best part of it so far, is the 2 modes of sprinting. That's just me personally, though. So the next thing is the grenades. Honestly, we've lacked like a good grenade system since like World War II. I mean, there's only been one game, Black Ops 4, but you know, the grenades were obviously added into the pick 10, but with this special issue equipment, it's kind of been tough to, you know, cycle through grenades and whatnot. Well, in this game, we're not seeing any specialists as far as I know, which is good and bad. I like specialists, but you know, it's not really a con at the same time. But you know, we have grenades back. We have tacticals and we have frag grenades. And the frag grenades, Molotovs, Claymores, and even bouncing Bettys, which nobody's going to like. But the frag grenades looked great. Just pulling the pin off of them and throwing them suckers, lobbing them across the map, getting a kill. That looked awesome. Like, I was just so, like, every time a grenade was thrown, I was just feeling it. I loved it. Molotovs looked awesome. Bouncing Bettys did look kind of annoying. And the Claymores, I didn't really see much action from, but I believe those were the 4 lethals we did see. Oh, we also saw throwing knives, and those look pretty clean, but frag grenades were definitely a plus. Stun grenades or flash grenades, whatever grenade tacticals they were, looked a little underpowered, but at least we're getting them back permanently, so that's a plus all around. Alright, so the next thing we have is the engine. It's a brand new engine, means the game's probably going to run a little bit smoother. It's going to be very different. It's going to be a game changer. Well, it's not like old games, so I guess that is a pro and a con, depending on how you feel. To me, kind of a con right now. Might be a pro in the future. But this new engine is definitely going to do things for us that we haven't been able to see with COD, especially with the night vision. Going to be our next pro, and the night vision is going to be used on some of the maps that are in the nighttime. And I believe most of the maps we already saw will have a nighttime version, because I believe when the maps loaded up, it said day in front of them. So there's going to be nighttime maps, and the night vision is going to definitely come into effect some point in another, and hopefully, I wouldn't really want to see too much night vision in competitive, to be completely honest, but in pubs it might be fun, and there's going to be real night vision. It's not just going to be a filter, so I'm kind of excited to see how that plays out. Hopefully we'll see it August 1st. But this game mode of the 2v2 gunfight looks kind of fun. I'm not a big fan of the health system being the scoring system, but it does look a little fun, and I feel like there could be definitely a couple series made out of that. You know, just have a 2v2 series on my channel here of just playing gunfight with my boy Mimic. You guys see him a lot in my Black Ops 4 videos, or, you know, even on my live streams. So, definitely some potential there for content. There's definitely a lot of content options that I see in this game for series and game battles and such. But, you know, it's going to be a grind at the same time. So, one pro that I don't know if anybody really caught is I didn't really see any currency system yet. It's going to be coming. I didn't see supply drops yet. But I'm hoping that they do something with, like, reserves cosmetically, like they did for, like, the first 7 months of Black Ops 4. You guys got to think, they ruined Black Ops 4 with transactions and such, but they kept it alive for 7 months. And the 7 and 8 months is really the main life cycle of the game. So, in a way, they didn't really kill anything. I mean, they killed it, but they didn't really kill it, like, slaughter it. They didn't, like, really mess it up. I think they played it pretty strategically and marketed it well. From a marketing standpoint, I completely understand how they did it and why they did it, because there's not as many players on, and, you know, you throw in some microtransactions, get a little extra revenue, you know, it's cool. You know, you got to do what you got to do. But I feel like one pro is there's no currency system yet. There's no supply drops or in-game transactions. But obviously, we just saw a pre-build of the game. We didn't see the full game. So, for all we know, there could be supply drops and variants and all that great stuff we all love so much. But for right now, there's no currency system in the game. So, guys, the next one is the game looks super realistic. Now, I kind of talked about that in cons, but at the same time, it is a pro in the end of the day. Honestly, you don't want your game looking like crap. We're almost in 2020, and, well, 2020 is like a weird number to say, because you had 2015, 2019, you know, that sounds kind of, still sounds kind of old, like all of us are still kind of young, but you say 2020 and it's like, wow, that sounds futuristic. So, about time the game gets a little more realistic, but modern at the same time. You know, is it a pro? Yes. Is it a con? Yes. I mean, if I could go back to Modern Warfare 3 kind of gameplay, just shredding with that ACR like I mentioned a little earlier, that would be awesome. But unfortunately, we just don't have that. So, realistic, you know, is going to make things a lot more different, a lot more dynamic. So, it's definitely a pro at the end of the day, even if I don't want to admit it. And, you know, it's just going to play into some of the graphics like on the map Pine. that map looks great. I already talked about the shadowing on it looking like crap, but at the same time, there's a lot of color. And that's something Call of Duty doesn't always have. Black Ops 4 was really, I feel like, the first one to dive into the color a little bit more than any other game. Just had a voice crack. Should I keep it in? Yeah, I'll keep it in. All right, won't edit this part out. We'll just keep it flowing. You know, that's how we do it here on AC Gaming. We keep it real. Anyway, I'm sick, so that's my excuse. Leave me alone. So Black Ops 3, we saw a decent bit of color on it, and a couple maps that come to mind is the one with the waterfall in the middle. I can't remember at the current moment, but there was that waterfall in the middle, and then the one S&D site was like behind the second waterfall and the cave system on the right side of the map, and the other one was on that lower portion on the left. Or no, it was in the house actually. It was A-bomb in the house, I believe. But we saw some color in Black Ops 3, and we kind of moved on. World War II looked like shit. I mean, it was literally just dark and grim and awful. I hated it. I mean, I can't speak for all the DLC added after. I only played the game for 2 weeks, and that was it. And that's bad for a Call of Duty YouTuber. I think I didn't even upload for that whole entire season of Call of Duty. Luckily, just in case that happens with this game, there's a lot of Black Ops 4 life still left in it with Blackout and, with the item shop still. I can make those videos every week no matter what as well. So, we saw a lot of color in Black Ops 4, and what I mean by that is if you guys have consistently played Blackout, the map has changed dramatically. Now, currently in the state that we're in the zombies mode, it's a little dark and grim, but all the water's red. That's color. Cargo looks absolutely phenomenal. If you guys have ever dropped cargo, just all the different color cargo containers, and then I believe when the fall and spring season was around, there was all that color in the trees, and it just looked awesome. It looks so great. So, I mean, you got to think about what are some of these other maps going to look like on this new engine. I mean, Pine looks great. It had so much color. What's the final build of the game going to look like? It might look fantastic. So, I mean, there's just a lot of color, and I'm really excited for that. It's going to look great. So, the next thing we're moving into, I'm starting to lose my voice just a touch, but the map that kind of looked like a paintball and airsoft course, it was super close quarters. I probably showed some gameplay of it already, but it was like all these like cardboard boxes and like wood paneling, and it just looked great. It looked super fun to play, super fast paced. It just reminded me of like airsoft, and I love airsoft personally, or paintball. I mean, it just looked like a straight up course, CQB course, and it looked awesome. It looked super fun to play, and I can't wait to play that. One thing about this game mode specifically was the pre-made classes, so you can't cheese your way through this game mode specifically. Gunfight has pre-made classes, or the mode where you pick stuff up. Very, very awesome to see that. There's not going to be any cheese. You have to use what everybody else is using, and I like that. One thing I wanted to point out before we keep going is in the section of the game, or that game mode where you actually pick stuff up to get your class, that's very important to note, because that shows that they already have the mechanics to pick up stuff in the game, meaning there could be that BR. And being a BR in this game is definitely going to be a make or break for me, because I need a BR. The BR, I just want to take a quick side note, in Black Ops 4 has been something that has been so great, because as soon as I get sick of pubs, I go and play Blackout. And as soon as I'm sick of Blackout, I go and play pubs. If I don't want to play pubs, I get bored of slaying out, I'll go play competitive. A little bit tougher, a little more fun. As soon as I get sick of that, I can either go take a break on zombies. Now with contracts, I play zombies a lot more, or I can just go right back to Blackout. So that cycle right there keeps the lifespan of the game for me personally completely in check. If they have that in this new game, there might be hope for me. That's just me personally. Like I said, I'm going into this game with doubts, but I also at the same time have high hopes. So the next thing is very important. Everybody who has played the game so far has said it's phenomenal. And that is big, because I wouldn't say they're all trying to sell it. There's a lot of honest YouTubers and a lot of people who put on a mask, but everybody has said it's great. So even the ones that are honest have said it's pretty darn good. There's been a couple people complaining about the clunkiness and slow, and there's obviously going to be some kinks in a pre-build, but regardless, they all said it was great. And you got to remember, besides the 4 people that played on that live stream, everybody else, the YouTubers, they played it in May. We're now in July. So, very, very, very interesting stuff to think about, considering there's another 2 or 3 months in there that they could have worked on bugs, fixes, and there's so many great things that could have came out of those months with all that feedback they got. So, the next thing, and this is definitely going to be huge, and it's going to be interesting for competitive, because, well, if League play is cross-play, then, well, what is going to be the PS4 exclusives then? So I personally switched to PS4 mainly for Call of Duty, and well, if we're going to cross-play, how are they going to update a whole entire game keeping PS4 exclusives? It's going to be very interesting to see how they do this, and if PS4 is going to be, or PS5 or Sony, is going to be the main sponsor or main host of this game. I feel like they will be, but at the same exact time, I feel like if crossplay is going to be enabled, it's going to be very tough to keep both consoles on the same servers. Because if there's going to be PS4 exclusives, how are you going to play a PS4 map with your friend on Xbox? It just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it'll just be competitive. Maybe it'll be for the VR. And if it's for the VR only, that's absolutely amazing. I would definitely approve of that 100%. Keeping PS4 players together on pubs, but sending crossplay on the VR, you know, that's cool with me. One concern there is PC players having huge advantage, so I'm wondering if there'll be that FPS cap. But it's still a pro nonetheless that we're seeing crossplay in the game. And then maybe they will do it like Fortnite as well, where you can kind of select who you want to play with on what server. Because I know you can do that. You can play with like PS4 only if you so choose. Guys, we're kind of wrapping it up here. So, you know, loosen those seatbelts a little bit. We're almost done. Going to talk about a couple weapons. We got the M4A1. Little bit of gameplay of this, picked up a couple times. I only have an hour and a half of footage, so I don't know if I'm going to get all this stuff in there. And man, it's going to take hours to edit this video. Make sure you leave a like. But the M4A1 looks amazing. It looks like it absolutely shreds. The recoil is fairly low considering some of the other weapons. I mean, it's insanely high. But the M4A1 actually looks really, really decent. I feel like it's going to be one of the main weapons used. Probably the FLAMAS a little bit too, and maybe like the AUG. I feel like ARs are definitely going to be a big part of this game. But the M4A1 looked amazing. Reload looked awesome. Shooting it looked awesome. The gun looked awesome. Everything about it just looked phenomenal. I love M4s personally, so maybe a little bit of bias there too. MP5. Never been a fan of the MP5 really too much, but in this game, wow, really surprised me. Kind of shreds. Looks very versatile. Moves really well. A lot of mobility, but one thing that impressed me the most out of everything about the MP5 was the reload. The reload just looked so satisfying. When I show you guys this reload, hopefully I can. I mean, it just looked amazing just reloading this gun. It looked a little slow, but honestly, the reload animation with this new engine and everything just made it so worth it. It looked great. So that's just one thing I wanted to point out. Pistols seem a lot more powerful in this game, but the recoil is fairly high, so I feel like we're going to see a lot more use of the pistols, especially the Desert Eagle. You can one Deagle in this game, which is very exciting, but the Deagle's going to two-shot almost every time, and having that Desert Eagle back is amazing. Pistols are definitely going to be used a lot more in this game, I feel like. Definitely some extra recoil there, but at the same time, you're getting a higher damage output, so they look good. Reloads look pretty awesome on them, too. So, guys, the last point that I have is Campaign and Spec Ops. Campaign coming back is definitely going to be huge, and Spec Ops coming back is going to be huge. So, I wanted to talk about it because I want to kind of put in perspective how I'm feeling. So, if Spec Ops and Campaign are coming back, it really puts me at doubt for a BR. And, you know, there's speculation of the BR. There's, you know, the stuff being able to be picked up is good for a BR. But at the same time, you have Spec Ops, you have Campaign. That's two modes there. You have multiplayer. That's your third. So now I'm thinking, well, you only have one option left with the current system they've been going on for Black Ops 4, which would be World League or Battle Royale. So I'm a little on the edge. You know, I would definitely say they are behind on the game, but definitely a pro that we're getting Campaign. We've already had Spec Ops confirmed, so the only things not confirmed are a World League playlist, which will probably not get League play for another 5 months because that's kind of typically how they treat things competitive-wise, except for World War II. That system was great, but competitive support is definitely needed. But anyway, the Battle Royale and the World League system is definitely going to be one of the two toss-ups between that, because there is no way they had enough time to have a brand new engine on this game, make a campaign, Spec Ops, multiplayer, World League or specific competitive, which is basically multiplayer, so I guess they could in reality just stick it in the multiplayer section and have a World League kind of subdivision and then have that Battle Royale. But I see there's absolutely no chance they are on schedule with this game, especially with the fact that they had the extra devs and teams coming in from like Treyarch, I think, to help with the game. They're running behind. So it's a pro, there's a campaign. And it's a pro, there's Spec Ops, but it's a con that it might really affect multiplayer and the core game itself. So, guys, I put together this super huge long list. I'm going to have to edit this video. It's 30 minutes worth of footage, man. And then I have to go through an hour and a half of footage to try and splice it all together. And I don't even know if I have enough content. So, for the fourth and final time, if you guys could leave a like on the video, I would appreciate it so much. I'm going to hope to not bombard you with advertisements, maybe every 8 minutes or something, to give you guys a little break from me speaking and the motion blur. But, you know, hopefully that's not too much. If that is too much, please tell me in the comments. I do take all of my comments and feedback very critically, so I would appreciate it if you could do that for me. But, guys, actually, fifth and final time, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Check out that membership option as well, guys, if you are interested. Check out the sponsors and equipment I use in the description below. That's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching this super long video. If you made it to the end, comment, Aces is GOAT. That's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'm out.